at your computer with your board buddy. And let's go back to this site on weather.com. You have looked at the high and low average temperatures in Provo. And then will you scroll down once more to look at the average precipitation. Remember we talked about how precipitation is anything that falls out of clouds. Rain, snow, hail, sleet. Then you pick up this paper that you made today, guys. Pick this paper up. And let's talk about what you did to make meaning of the data that you saw this morning. We talked about how on a website they're usually going to list weather precipitation totals, the precipitation totals from January to December to show a whole year. And we decided we wanted to put it in a different format so that it would make sense to us. And so let's do this first. Tell your board buddy how we arranged the data. How did we make it different from what we saw on weather.com? Tell your board buddy. Thank you. Hannah, how did we do it? How did we arrange it? Say it a little bit louder. We put them how? Yes, we went from least to greatest. And when we did that, we could start to see a pattern emerge. Tell your board buddy what pattern we found as we looked at the precipitation totals. Tell your board buddy, what did we find? We looked at seasons, we looked at average precipitation in different seasons. What did you find?
The seasons.
Alex, can you tell me, what did we find? What pattern did we see? Okay, so which season had more precipitation? What did you and Kyoshi find as you looked at your graph? Which season, summer, fall, winter, or spring, has the most precipitation? Spring, okay? Which our very highest months of precipitation were April and May, which are both spring months. And then you figured out which season of the year had the least amount of precipitation. And Jay, what was that?
Summer.
That was summer. And that helps us to understand why in the springtime we might be worried about flooding, but in the summer we might be worried about if we have enough water to make it through until the fall, until we get more precipitation in the fall and the winter. Will you pick up the handout that I just gave you, and will you and your board buddy come to the Promethean board, please, and sit next to each other? Thank you for moving quickly and quietly. And Luciana, can you turn off that one light? Thank you so much. Sorry guys, but we just get our technology with us. In class, we've been talking about some different careers that use decimals. And one would be a meteorologist. A meteorologist is someone who studies the weather. And as we looked at those graphs today, a meteorologist would also look at that information and try to make sense of it. And we did that by rearranging that data and ranking it from smallest to largest. Now, another profession where we might want to look at decimals is when we're looking at sports and we're reporting results of sports. So we're going to look for just a minute at some Olympic results from the past. Okay. And guys, I'm going to show you a little bit of a run right here. You really don't need sound. And I'm not going to make it bigger because when I make it bigger, it gets really blurry. Just watch this one race. This is an athlete named Usain Bolt. His last name is B-O-L-T, which I think that's very amusing when you watch him run. You really don't need the sound.
This is 2012.
Thank you. He's in a yellow and green. That's only 200 meters. It's not very far. Can you see him pull out in the front? Thank you. Okay, so that was a qualifying race. And he went on to win the 100 meter for men. And let's look at the way these athletes' performance, how their performance is ranked. So you can see the name of the game. They were in London or Beijing, 2012 or 2008. And then here are the winners. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about this before you talk to your board buddy. How do we rank the winners in a race? Now, wait a minute. I want you to think. Are we ranking them? Do we want a high score or time? Or do we want a low score or time? Don't shout out. Tell your board buddy in a whisper voice. Thanks for turning toward me. Michelle, how do we rank totals for a race? So do we want a high time or a lower time?
No.
Chris?
No time.
Why?
Because it's like saying let's say on your like a test, the shorter probably like sometimes. Because if you do it shorter, it's better. Because if you do it longer, it takes you longer, and you can get like a worse rank or something like AB or whatever.
Okay, you just made me think of something. Think of a timed test we take in 5th grade. We've done it several times already this year. Talk with your board buddy about whether you want a smaller score or a higher score for your time. Tell your board buddy. Can you think of what subject we've done the time test in? Ari, what subject have we done time tests in? Okay, and do we want a smaller time or a bigger time? We want a smaller time because that shows you can do it faster, right? So when athletes are running or swimming, they want a shorter time because it shows they are faster. So if you look here, Usain Bolt, he was able to run the 100 meter in this amount of time. Now guys, and let me see if I can make it bigger. I want you, I don't know if I can from there. I'm just going to say it, 9.63. Can you tell your board buddy how to say that as a decimal? How do you say 9.63 as a decimal? 9 and... Jaden. Excellent, 9 and 63 hundredths. He won the gold medal with that time. And then you can see the next athlete won the silver with this time, 9.75. Tell your board buddy how to say that as a decimal. Shantae. 9 and 75 hundredths. Thanks, Shantae. And then the bronze, the third place, was 9 and 79 hundredths. Okay, now, notice Usain Bolt also won the gold 4 years earlier when he was in China in Beijing. And his time then was 9 and 69 hundredths. And then his time in London was 9 and 63 hundredths. This is what I want you to talk with your board buddy about. Which time was a better time? Tell your board buddy. Was it the 2008 or 2012 Olympics? Kevin, which time was a better time? 2012, and actually that set a world record. That's the fastest anybody has ever run that. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Okay, now take the handout that I gave you, put it on your lap, and let's talk about some other events, or I should say some other records. And we're going to try to figure out what the winning time or the winning length would be for these other records. Most of this data came from this book. You guys know I have a fifth grader at home. And Zach and I were looking at this book last week, and we were just having so much fun learning trivia about different things. And so I wanted to share some of that with you today. So on your handout, let me just grab mine too so I can be looking at it. Okay, so notice at the very top of yours, it has fastest Olympic 200-meter freestyle for men. That is a swimming race. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to talk to your board buddy and tell me, no, don't do it yet, if you think we want a higher time or a lower time. Tell your board buddy. It's a swimming race. Do we want a faster time, a higher time? Well, a faster time, a lower time, or a higher time? I gotta make sure I say it right. Okay, fist to chest. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and you show me whether we want a higher time or do we want a lower time. I want to make sure I say it right. Okay, make sure that you and your buddy communicated so well that you're going to have the same answer for me right now. Because if you have different answers, that says to me maybe you didn't talk very well together and communicate. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, show me. Oh, there's a couple partnerships that have different answers. Talk to your partner, make sure you and your partner have the same one. We want a lower time, a faster time. Okay, now go down, all the way down toward the bottom where it says largest diamonds. Can you see that one? It's third from the bottom, guys. Are you there? Okay, so now I want you to talk to your board buddy. Do we want a heavier weight or a lighter weight? As we're talking about a world record for the largest diamonds. Tell your board buddy.
Yeah.
Now make sure you and your board buddy are going to put exactly the same sign up for me, because last time there were some partnerships that were a little confused. Fist to chest. So do we want a heavier weight or a lighter weight? 1, 2, 3, show me. Oh, now we're doing better with our partnerships. Yeah, we want a heavier weight. Okay, go to the next page. Can you flip over your page? Let's go 3 down. This one's going to be in honor of Miss Wright next door, who has a snake in her classroom. The snake with the longest fangs. Do we want a bigger number or do we want a smaller number? Tell your board buddy. Decide what you're going to put up. This or this. Okay, fist to chest. 1, 2, 3, show me. Good, you guys. We want a bigger number. Kwayoshi, make sure you and Alex are talking because you have 2 different answers. Yeah, that's okay. Just make sure you're talking with your partner. All right, here's what we're going to do. Please listen to instructions before you move. You are going to go back to where you were sitting. You and your partner are going to look at each set of data, and you are going to put a little check mark next to the name or the animal or the place that you think holds the world record. I think as you look over the handout, you'll figure out what I'm talking about. I will be walking around and helping. You and your partner get to talk together, and I would encourage you to not put a check mark until you have checked with your partner to see if they agree with you. Please don't rush ahead of your partner. Head back to your seats. check mark. I'll put that on the board. Just do a little check mark. When we've double checked our answers, you get to use your highlighter and highlight it. But for now, let's just use check marks. Which one do you think? And where's Chris? Chris, you're welcome to talk in Spanish about it.
I think it is this part.
¿Mostras?
Wait.
Most intense earthquake. Which one do you think is holding the world record? Yeah, and it's their wingspan. Okay, so this shows the year they hit it, and then this shows how fast they hit it, how many miles per hour. I'm sorry, I wanted to put that down because sometimes it was 1%. That Elliot did it twice, so I wanted to show the years he done it. So fastest, we want the shortest time, right? Because it's a run. Remember with the runs, we want the shortest time, right? Yeah, it's that Usain Bolt. Isn't that funny? Because this Bolt kind of means run fast. I think it's like funny, that's his last name. How are you guys doing? Okay, which one did I win fastest? Yes, because he did it in the fastest amount of time, right?
I don't know how long you want to observe.
How long do you need?
I don't know. I was going to ask Alex. I think we've got most of what we need.
You know, you guys think of this one. The driest places that people live inhabit